Demario Davis on Saints or free agency. Joe Brady is Bills head coach and Rasheed Shaheed for Seahawks. Don't care about all that stuff. So this interview with Kay Adams, the Up and Adams Kay Adams show, has really been rocking the Saints, the internet Saints community, right? Because Demario Davis kind of sort of hints at, allegedly, I haven't watched this yet, allegedly hints that he may be testing free agency and not playing for the New Orleans Saints. And here I am, excited for the New Orleans Saints. And here I am, excited for Demario Davis coming off of his career high for tackles in a season, which is crazy to think about. Demario Davis, who's gone through it all, right, and now has a chance with this new look Saints team to make a run for the South, a run for the playoffs, host a playoff game, make a run for the NFC. But could he be on a different team? Let's go ahead and listen, and I'm going to try and slice and dice the interview and figure out exactly what he's talking about. And if people are just freaking out, remember, I used to be a Big J journalist, all right? I interviewed Nancy Pelosi. I interviewed Robin Roberts twice, okay? Drove Sinbad to the airport. People forget that, all right? So if anybody can figure this out, it's me.
After Payton Man of the Year, All-Pro linebacker. Oh my gosh, the list is too long. Demario, two-time Pro Bowler. You just wrapped your 14th season. How you feeling? What are you doing?
I'm blessed. Kay, what's happening? How you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited for Super Bowl. Wish you were playing in it, of course. We just had Sean Alexander. He wanted to make a pitch for you to go to Seattle.
Hey, Sean's a great dude, man.
Sean Alexander, trivia, college, Alabama.
He's a great dude. They hot right now. I'm most excited for my boy Rasheed Shaheed being over there doing his thing, getting a lot of love. He is balling. Yeah, it's fun. It's gonna be a good Super Bowl.
He's so quick. I love when the ball's in his hands. I think they could put the ball in his hands a little bit more. What a decision for I guess both sides for him to go there at the buzzer. John Schneider, Executive of the Year, brings in. He sees something.
Fun fact, I had someone reach out and say, hey, what do you think about Rasheed Shaheed laddering his yards to the Super Bowl? You know, do what you want, but risky business. Rasheed Shaheed has had one game since December 14th with the Seahawks where he's had more than 10 yards receiving. Isn't that crazy? Like, it's crazy how electric he is and how he seems to be such a dynamic, impactful player. And then you look at his numbers, it's like, man, he doesn't do nothing in Seattle. It's insane. Now, maybe they're holding that all for the Super Bowl and, you know, whatever. But, yeah, if you go back and look at his game log, it's 1 catch, 5 yards, 1 catch, 6 yards, 1 yard, or 1 catch, 7 yards, 0 catches, 0 targets. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. I mean, even the 51-yarder against the Rams, that was his only catch.
In Rasheed Shaheed, when you're watching him, what are you thinking? What is so special about him that maybe we don't see when we're watching?
Well, I think, number one, everybody knows his speed is just next level. He truly has track speed, and not, there's a lot of fast guys in the NFL, but not everybody has track speed, and he has it. But I think number two is how incredibly hard he works at his craft. He has spent a lot of time, you know, bulking up his body. He's a lot stronger and thicker than he was when he first came in the league. And
makes two of us.
He's really turned himself into an explosive receiver. And so not only is he a gadget guy that can return and run reverses, but he also can run routes and get open. And I think he's fell into a good system. Of course, Kubiak has experience with him. He was with us last year. And so he knew, I guess, when there was talk around his name, he was like, yeah, bring him over here. We know what to do with him. And so I'm happy for him. Now
I just want to show you what I'm talking about, because a lot of people also were like, why didn't the Saints keep Rasheed Shaheed? Remember, if the Saints would have kept Rasheed Shaheed, they would have had to pay him wide receiver 2 money. All right, that's what was going to happen. Same agent as Chris Olave, so their whole contract leverage situation would have played off of each other. This is what he's done in Seattle. All right. 1 target, 5 targets, 2 targets, 3 targets, 5 targets, 7, 1, 1, 1, 2, and 3. All right. Receptions 1, 2, 0, 1, 4, 5, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. In the playoffs, 1 catch on 5 targets. Again, since December 14th, 0 catches, 1 catch, 1 catch for 8 yards, 1 catch for 2 yards, 0 catches, 1 catch for 51 yards. I like him as much as the next guy. But there's no way in hell you pay this guy wide receiver 2 money. Seattle isn't going to pay him wide receiver 2 money with this kind of production. It really is kind of an anomaly. The more I look at it, the more insane it is. Like, I don't know what's going on. You know, it's like every time I look around, people are like, yeah, I mean, Rasheed Shaheed, you know, he could be the Super Bowl MVP. Doing what? All of a sudden, they're shooting him a ton of targets? 1 target, 1 target, 1 target, 2 targets, 3 targets. 0 catches, 1 catch. I think what the situation is just like it was in New Orleans. I think he's just kind of a deep ball guy. And when you have JSN and Cooper Kupp and Barner and Kenneth Walker, there's just other options out there. There's just safer, better options in the passing game. So looking at this, I don't think Seattle pays him. So, I mean,
He's in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you spent last year with Kubiak as your defensive coordinator. He's getting some head coaching love. How do you feel about that? What's the best quality that would translate into a head coach? OC, not DC.
There you go.
I think him as an offensive coordinator, of course, he's one of these cutting-edge offenses. He comes from just a lineage of great offensive coordinators who've had a lot of success, offensive coordinators and head coaches in his league who've had a ton of success. He's modernized that offense or runs it in a way that it has evolved over time. But I think what translates from a coordinator to a head coach is really just being able to be the same guy every day and really capture the heart of the locker room. If you're able to do that as a head coach and guys are willing and ready to go to battle for you each and every Sunday, it's going to go well for you more than not.
You know better.
You know what's interesting, too, about the Kubiak thing? So you're going to start hearing a lot of this, like Kubiak, OC, head coach, Super Bowl, whatever. It's interesting that the Saints were a year ahead on this. And I don't mean just Kubiak, but the Saints have got exactly what Kubiak is, basically, with just more experience and a better resume, and Kellen Moore, right? The OC of the Super Bowl champions. And remember, the narrative then was that, well, Kellen Moore is just the last guy there. He's just the last guy available. So I wonder if we'll hear the same thing about Kubiak if he does get a head coaching offer. That, well, he's just the last. I mean, he's just the last candidate. I got a sneaky feeling that won't be the case.
Better than anybody, how much coaching matters, all of that. Your guy Joe Brady, who you spent some time with, just got hired as the Bills coach. Breaking news.
Yeah.
He was on the Saints staff, I think, 2017, 2018. Joe Brady, the new.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's. You spent time with him. What can you tell me about him and this fit?
Man, well deserved.
Word on the street with Joe Brady was that Sean McDermott and Joe Brady did not really see eye to eye, and that Joe Brady was not allowed to use, or was not, whatever, was not allowed to use the breadth of his offensive playbook in Buffalo. And it's funny because every time I watched Buffalo, and I've talked about this before on the channel, it was nothing but like passes in the flats, screens, dump offs. It's like, man, what is this offense? Like, what is this? This is just, you're just spamming halfback flat and wide receiver screen. Like, you have Josh Allen do something. So I'm interested to see what Joe Brady does as the head coach. I have a sneaky feeling that Josh Allen had about, 80% of the voting power in that room. Like the current OC getting the head coaching job when Josh Allen's your quarterback. That means Josh Allen was all about this, right?
He came up in that, Sean Payton tree, and he's been around and doing it at a high level for so long. So definitely glad that he's getting what he's deserved. I think he'll do great. He's one of those guys that players feel like they can relate to and connect with. Of course, he knows the ins and outs of this game. So really, really excited about that. For him to get this as a head coaching job. Many more deserving.
Demario, we got to see what your future holds. It's death taxes, and Demario Davis outperforms his prior season. I drove my ass to Orange County and sat with you at training camp, and we did the thing. We do it every year, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way he's going to outproduce or outperform. Like, this is not the way the world works. And you defy gravity, you defy everything. Career high in total tackles for the second year in a row, Davis. What does it feel like to have 143 total tackles in year 14?
It's unbelievable. It is a credit to number one, the unit of guys that I play with. They made it a joy to come to work every day. I had a phenomenal coordinator in Brandon Staley, so just being able to mesh and think about ball and talk high level strategy each and every week helped me take my game to another level. And I think what I was more impressed with was not that it was a career high in tackles, though I wanted to have a career high in something. But it was really that I posted some of my best run defense numbers of my career. That was I could feel it when I was playing, but to really see the statistics around it really was cool. And so it's like, man, I'm continuing to play at a high level. That's how I knew so early that I wanted to come back for next year.
And I think, the career highs is one thing, but it's just the consistency for me that you, like, 9th year in a row with 100-plus combined tackles. That is not easy to do. That is bananas.
Crazy level of production.
That you're able to do that. You also had 2 forced fumbles somehow this year. Can you please take me and talk me through this one against the Giants, my friend?
All right, so real quick, I mean, he kind of mentioned the reasons I think he'll stay, or the reasons he would want to stay, is that he likes the group of guys he's playing with. I mean, I think we saw that all year, was that the team looked like they were having fun playing together. Brandon Staley is a DC who will be back, who he likes, who he just mentioned, likes talking high-level ball, all that stuff. And he's playing at a high level. And he's been in New Orleans for a long time. So playing at a high level, liking the DC, liking your teammates, it seems like a weird time to go somewhere else.
In week 5.
Yeah, so I'm dropping in the hook right there. That was one of my favorite plays, and that was a crucial moment. They getting ready to score before halftime, and I know what route they're getting ready to throw. They're going to run this backside China route is what we call it, which is a vertical by number 2 and an inside route by number 1. And I wanted to kind of bait it and go, but he threw it a little quicker than I was anticipating. So I was like, dang, I missed it. And then it was just about making the tackle on the ground. And he comes, and I feel like, well, I don't want to miss him before he gets the first down. So I'm just trying to secure the tackle, and the ball is just like right there. So as I'm tackling, I hit the ball, and it come out, and I look up, and Jonas running down the field, and that was truly a game-changer moment in the game, because we went on to get like 3 or 4 other turnovers after that.
Demario.
We always talk about turnovers being random and just like how as long as the ball is oblong, like this ball can bounce any direction, right? And look how it bounces. Like it bounces almost directly, well, not even almost, directly to Jonas Anchor. If this ball hits the ground and bounces backwards at 61 or 72, totally different play. Like there's so many different levels to a fumble. Like obviously the wide receiver has a play in that. Demario Davis has a play in that. The ball itself and the randomness. Like if you drop that ball 100 times, it's never going to do the exact same thing. It's always going to bounce differently. It's like the thing in Jurassic Park with the water droplets. You put water droplets down, they're just going to run differently. Just the chaos theory and whatnot.
Giants never came close to scoring again. That was such a
it was huge. Like
door-stopping moment. I remember talking about it the day after the game. Such a good moment.
Yeah, I mean, as a defender, we in our room we always say A players got to be A players, and what that means is really that the guys on the team are really going to feed off the top guys. And so you're not going in just saying, I want to make the big play. I just want to make my plays when they come my way.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
what I say every morning.
One of the guys
every day,
to make
that's
a
what
moment like that really triggers the rest of the team was really huge and felt good. And I feel like, but that's what you're supposed to do as a leader of a defense and leader of a team.
You bring up Staley and like obviously being able to, I guess what you're saying is like the relationship matters, being able to sort of see somebody at your level or talk ball with them, or I don't know how you would describe that, but I know it's working if I look at the numbers, right? You with this career year in tackles, Cam Jordan, 10.5 sack season. He's a million.
I mean, look at this defense. 10th in points per game allowed, 4th in yards per game, 4th in yards per carry, 2nd in third down defense. Remember when third downs were a problem? Isn't that crazy how fast that can change? Remember at the beginning of the year how bad the Saints were on third down? That was a huge issue. Talked about it for the first couple of weeks. And then they turn it around so much so that they're the 2nd best defense in the NFL on third downs. It's pretty wild. Because it was horrible. Horrible first couple of weeks. It was, it was to the point to where 3rd and 14 was like the worst thing we could possibly see.
9 years old. I'm kidding. Chase Young. Love this for Chase Young. 10 sacks. Won the last NFC Defensive Player of the Month we had. What about Brandon Staley? The scheme, the man. What brings out the best of this defense?
Man, Brandon is the man. He's the man. You know, as you've been talking about, like talking on his level, I'm not even talking on his level.
Huh?
I mean, he is up there.
Brandon Staley, love him like a brother, loved the hire. I remember everyone was drooling all over their keyboard saying Staley sucked, Staley this, Staley that. Nah. The guy is a defensive wizard, the protege, the Anakin Skywalker to Vic Fangio's Palpatine, Brandon Staley. No doubt in my mind he'll be getting head coaching offers next year. So I'm glad he's in New Orleans for 2 years. Love him.
I mean, and we talk all the time. So the whole playoffs, we've been having dialogue about the games. And number one, he has an appetite for greatness that's just unmatched. And he has a confidence and the skill sets that he's acquired. And he knows how to mobilize his guys. He knows how to bring the best out of the guys. He knows how to put them in position. He knows how to motivate them. That's why you see, Cam, having a big year this year where people thought he was dropping off, but he just needed a coach that put him in the right position.
God, what a play.
Chase Young, everybody just talked about potential, but this year he really showed the greatness, and it was just by having a coach who motivated him. And I think Staley sees the game more than most defensive coordinators probably seeing in today's game.
Wow.
If you look at what we were doing defensively, like our quote is watch the silent tape. Like, don't listen to the narrative. Like, turn the film on and watch what our defense was doing. And this was with a lot of younger guys or guys who hadn't taken that many snaps. And we were going against offenses that really have had their system flowing, 5-6 years. I mean, our first 8, 9 games through the Rams was a gauntlet. All the guys that we played were
100%.
We played both Super Bowl teams. Like, think about that. You play the Seahawks and the Patriots. You play the Rams. So you play both NFC championship teams. You play the Bills on the road. I mean, it was a crazy schedule.
Were playoff teams, and I think when you looked at the last round, all those guys we played this season.
100%. And then down the stretch, I wish the season didn't end when it did, because y'all really somehow turned a corner or something happened.
I mean, I think they lost to the Patriots by 6. It was a one-possession game.
Tyler got more comfortable. Like, the way he ended his season, like, the momentum feels like it's there with this Saints team.
Yeah,
there was a lot of momentum that finished the season, and it'd be credible to see what type of offseason the organization has to continue that momentum, riding into next season.
Okay, well, let's talk about it, because you're mentioning, as you're saying this about Brandon Staley, like, your season is done.
Yep.
And Brandon, you guys are watching the playoffs together over text.
Yeah.
You're checking in with each other. I imagine that's because he wants you to cook next year. He sounds like Brandon really needs you back next year, as do Saints fans, as do I. You're a free agent this year. I know you said you're coming back. Where are we in the process of making you a Saint in 2026?
Yeah, I'm coming back to the NFL. I'm coming back to the NFL, and I'm excited about that. I am super excited about that. I keep training all the way through the Super Bowl, so my body feels great. And so I'm just excited. I'm just excited for the offseason, and we're finishing up these games, watching them through the Super Bowl, and then I'll get into my offseason training regimen and get ready to do it all over again. And however that plays itself out, we shall see.
I'm not frozen. I'm speechless. Demario, I will start crying. I literally am tearing up. Do you see this? Because you have to.
Why are you tearing up?
Because you can't leave the Saints. Demario, I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. Do I want it for you?
Why are you assuming that?
Because you're not. Because you said NFL and you're making me sad.
Why? I work for the NFL.
No, there's so few things I can depend on, but seeing you in New Orleans is it. That's it. More than Cam. Cam go, like Cam go. I always say to have Cam go. I mean, Seattle. So is Seattle interesting to you? What's interesting to you? What's a priority?
Real quick, I think he's coming back. Just hearing that, I think he's playing. I think he's playing coy. I think this is the classic. I want a new deal. I'm in the. I'm in the. I'll say this. All right. I think it would be crazy, or maybe not crazy, but I think it would be surprising for a player, not even just Demario, but any player that does not have a deal to come out and say, yeah, I'll be back in New Orleans or I'll be back wherever. It's like, well, you don't have a deal. Like you are a free agent. Like I think part of that is him saying, I will be back in the NFL. And I do believe he's being coy, and I do believe he is just kind of playing around. And maybe he's even playing around. Like maybe this is something he says to like Brandon Staley or the Saints. Like, yeah, I mean, I'll be in the NFL next year. Kind of like a nudge, like, well, I don't have a contract yet. I mean, think about your job, right? Think about your job. If you were working on a 1-year contract type situation and you did not have a contract for next year, you wouldn't be like, yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back. It's like, I'll be working somewhere. Will I be working here? I don't know. Even if you're going to sign the contract if it happens, right? So the fact that he is watching games / texting in the group chat, sending memes to Brandon Staley, that to me says more than him kind of what I think is him joking around with K. That's how I read it. I think it doesn't make any sense for him to not continue with the Saints unless he gets an offer from a team, like I don't know, like Denver or like a 1 seed, 2 seed that has. You have every reason to believe is going to be a 1 seed, 2 seed next year, unless he gets that kind of a deal and all things are equal. And he just says, look, I got 1 year left in me, 2 years left in me. I want to go try and win a championship. And someone like the Rams or the Broncos or the Patriots or a team that is almost like a no doubter. If that's the situation, maybe he goes, but he's been in New Orleans so long. They had such a good year last year. He's just talking glowingly about the locker room, the roster, the coaches. Him and Staley still talk. He does so much off the field stuff in New Orleans. He's such a big part of the community. It's just hard to imagine the human side of it that he uproots all of that. And I think the Saints will offer him a contract. I think Mickey hinted at that in the offseason or whatever, the end of the season press conference, that Cam and Demario will have the opportunity to return. None of that's happened yet. It usually takes a couple of weeks before those conversations even happen. But I listening to that, I think he'll be back.
For you in free agency. And by the way, I know I'm being a little baby here, but you deserve to be wined and dined. You deserved all of the things. And all New Orleans fans would back you in whatever your next chapter would look like. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, sure.
I appreciate that, Kay. That means the world. I think what as I'm watching these playoff games, and Brandon and I kind of talk about this a lot, is I'm looking at some of these defenses, and we live in an offensive, really loaded game. The game is slanted sometimes seemingly towards the offense, but really these offensive coordinators are minds. And you really have to get inside the matrix to understand what they're doing to really defend it well. And that's what we were able to do. I think like I saw what Brandon was drawing up for us and why he was drawing up for us. And I think a lot of the defenses are just one good player away from taking that next step as a defense. Some of these end of the game drives, they just shouldn't be happening to these defenses, but you really need that. You really need that general in the middle that can see that. And some of these guys, they have young players, and so some of these defenses just need a guy that can help their young guys take that next step. Now
this part right here certainly sounds like he is interested in testing free agency. This part right here makes it sound like he's really given some thought to how he fits in some of these playoff teams.
How does like a Kool-Aid McKinstry take that next step? How does a Alontae Taylor go from good to being great? How does a Chase Young being a borderline potential good guy go to being a superstar, a dominant player in this league. Like, but they have to have a veteran that helps them take that next step. And I think that's what I'm noticing on a lot of these defenses. They don't have that. And so that's what's motivating for me is like, that's why I think I bring the most value is not only being what I am in the middle, but helping those younger guys take that next step because it's a relational thing and not everybody has that. And so I think you just know your superpower. And, you know, when everybody may need your service, but somebody may need your service more. And so that's how I kind of look at it. What,
Demario,
why are you doing that?
Because I'm trying to think of, because it sounds like you're more open than I thought to. You've been very thoughtful about this. I'm excited for you. I'm trying to think of the teams that need that. The Jets need that. You and Aaron.
Good God almighty. Could you imagine if he left the Saints and went to the Jets with their situation? I'm thinking like, yeah, if he has a chance to go to Denver or New England or San Francisco or whatever, or the Rams, and he's talking about the Jets, I am kind of surprised if he does go because, and maybe, you know, it is a locker room thing. You don't want to, you don't want to lose him in the locker room the way last year was and all that stuff. But if he does go, we'll never know this, but I'd be interested to know what the conversation was around the trade deadline because I thought San Francisco was going to go make a play for Demario. At that point, San Francisco is trying to win the 1 seed. Fred Warner goes down. And when that happened, I thought, well, they're the perfect team to go and get Demario to try and push for that playoff run. And then obviously he didn't leave, but I wonder if that was ever on the table for the Saints. If he does go, all right, and this kind of shows you how fluid this whole thing is. And we've been talking about the draft a lot, right? If Demario Davis does leave, how all of a sudden now at that 8th overall pick, how much are you writing in Arvell Reese? That shifts everything. Just that alone. If I told you Demario Davis will be on the Baltimore Ravens next year, and he will not be on the Saints, all of a sudden now it's like, all right, well, forget Carnell Tate, forget David Bailey, forget Ruben Bain, forget Jeremiah Love. It's Arvell Reese and Arvell Reese only. Right now it's like, hey, trade up to get Arvell Reese. Now it's do whatever you can do to get Arvell Reese in the building. And you're going to rock and roll with Danny Stutzman, Arvell Reese, Pete Werner, Isaiah Stallbird, whatever. Right? Like, that is one domino that could fall that would completely change the 8th overall pick for the draft. Would completely change that entire process.
And Glenn reuniting would be cool.
God.
Yeah, hey, Aaron Glenn is the man.
Rams?
And
Seattle has a lot of cap space. Sean Alexander might have been right, huh?
You never know. You never know. I don't try to predict what God has the final say so. So I just try to I just try to ride it out. I'm good whatever happens.
What is Sean Payton gonna think when he sees this clip? What would that look? Could they use you? Would you be up for that reunion?
Man, I don't think they need much on defense. They got it. They flying high. They were right there. That was my pick to win it, and I just think like between Bo Nix and the elements, it just
if Bo Nix is in that game, they absolutely beat New England.
Just caught him, and it's unfortunate. I know he's been
Drake May, first quarterback ever to win the AFC Championship game throwing less than 100 yards.
He's been itching to get that close for a while.
Yeah, but they're young on defense. This is a young defense. I think they could use what you're saying, a veteran presence to take them to the next level.
But they got my boy, they got Roach over there leading the way.
I need you to know it says, thank you so much, Demario. Can't wait for you to sign the dotted line in New Orleans. That's what my script says. But who knows? Go get wine and dine, Demario. Get that bag, baby. Go get that ring. Love ya. See you.
I mean, and maybe, I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing, but maybe they've had maybe he knows. Like, maybe it's, whatever, Danny Stutzman's turn. Maybe he knows, like, all right, it's time for that next group to play, and it's time for me to go find another. I don't know. I mean, maybe again, I find that hard to believe that that's the conversation, and yet he's still group chatting with Brandon Staley. I mean, I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. I think a lot of that is him being coy and kind of whatever, playing around. But at the same time, he definitely has given thought to where he fits other teams. So maybe the Saints have said, go take a look, get wined and dine, go visit other places, see what's best for you. And then if you want to come back to New Orleans, and it's available. But if not, hey, you've certainly given a lot to this team, whatever. But there's only like a handful of teams that I think it makes sense for him to go. Those would be teams that are almost guaranteed to be in the playoffs with a good infrastructure in place. And those are teams like the Rams, the 49ers, the Broncos, like teams like that. I mean, even like the Kansas City Chiefs of the world, where, okay, if you want to go join that kind of a organization for a year or two and try and win this thing, but once you go to that next tier, I don't think they're that far off from the Saints as far as like how good the defense is, the coordinator, the roster, all that stuff. Like that next tier of teams, certainly not the Jets and teams like that, right? That next tier of teams, it's like, well, you might as well just stay in New Orleans. You might as well just stay here and compete for the division, and it is a good defense. You like the coordinator, whatever. But I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. 50-50. 50-50. I definitely think he has given thought to how he fits in other teams. At the same time, I think he is playing coy a bit, the fact that he doesn't have a deal. If I had to bet right now, I would bet he's back in New Orleans. But if I thought it was 90-10 before, I would say it's closer to like 65-35 right now. So, but again, if he does not, all of a sudden, the 8th overall pick, the spotlight is on one guy. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Or I guess Sonny Styles, too. So 2 guys. All right. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.